Okay, Bob Waddell and Gidon Ariel back. All right, so I asked you about what's easy, what is more convenient about Jerusalem regarding being an Orthodox Jew and eating.
It's really about most places in Israel, and that is that you have the kosher certificate in most places of eating. So it's enough that I am confident in the kosher certification body. Usually it is the local rabbinate in any of the cities. Mm-hmm. I check to see that they have a certificate in good standing, and I'm sure that anything that I will be served will be made with proper kosher ingredients and cooked properly and served properly, so I don't have to worry about it so much. As opposed to...
You actually check a certificate? Like when you're walking in a place that you don't know, you're looking?
Oh yeah. If I don't know it, thanks for adding that. I eat at Aroma very frequently, but in different cities, Aroma Cafe has different levels of kashrut. So you have to check if you're going to a city that you're not familiar with.
Okay, but in Jerusalem, what percentage of restaurants can you eat in?
I would guess 90%.
Okay, and that is done just, I guess it's a market. There's no requirement that it's an individual restaurant owner's decision whether they do kosher or not.
90%, I would say. Many of the restaurant owners, proprietors, are religious themselves.
Yes.
So from their own religion, it wouldn't make sense for them to, it would be against their religion to serve non-kosher food.
But will you have non-Orthodox Jews that run kosher restaurants for market reasons?
Of course.
Okay. And you said 90% of restaurants in Jerusalem are kosher. What would that be in another city?
It depends on what city. I remember years and years, decades ago in Tel Aviv, it was hard to find a kosher restaurant. But today it's getting a lot easier.
Really?
I would say that we're over 50% of restaurants in Tel Aviv have a kosher certification.
Is that based on demand?
Absolutely, 100%.
Is that a signal that Israel, there is a growth in the Orthodox population?
You got it.
And are non-religious Jews sort of getting more religious? Is it the birth rate of the Orthodox? Sorry for this digression, but this is interesting.
It's both. It certainly is a digression, and we don't have time for a long perspective on this. And it's the thing of reports and studies in universities. The trends in religiousness in Israel. Okay. But I would say that more and more people are feeling this is interesting. It's their identity, and they're saying, "Hey, there's something that I want to take upon myself." Usually, it happens after people get married, but people are more and more comfortable being religious in Israel.
Okay. So we met this afternoon. And we had our root source discussions to have. You're getting ready to come to America. A lot of planning for that. We're talking about we're early into 2018, so we're talking about our 2018 planning and all that. You're here in my place, and you just had water today, but you could have had more. There you have water. But at my place, I think you only had water today. But you've had Coke here and other things. So but you're not in. This is not a kosher apartment. But could you have a cup of coffee here if you wanted to?
I was thinking about this a little bit today when we were talking about how I would manage eating in Texas. People who are more knowledgeable about something will allow themselves more than people who are less knowledgeable but are trying not to break any rules. So some people, I know that if I drink only water somewhere, that's not a problem. You have here plenty of, you buy the food here in your apartment, Bob.
Kosher,
from the supermarket in the neighborhood. You don't bring stuff in from Austin.
And there is no non-kosher supermarket around. I mean, they're all kosher. So
if you'd walk a few kilometers, you'd get to the Arab side of town, and there I'm sure you would be able to find non-kosher stuff.
And of course, I could have bought meat that's kosher milk that's kosher and mix them, and then it wouldn't be kosher. But at least the individual ingredients.
So I'm not I'm trying to be not such a big eater, and so and also we're very happy eating in Aroma usually.
Yeah.
So we do okay over here.
Okay, so early on in the afternoon, you sort of warned me that you wanted to do your evening prayers here in Jerusalem rather than doing them waiting till 8 o'clock.
Yes.
In your own community. And so where did we go for? Oh, and this time I surprised you and said, "Hey, I think I'll join you." Usually I don't.
You asked me if you could join me. I said sure.
I did ask, and not for this broadcast. I actually forgot about the broadcast at the time I was asking, but no, I thought, I hadn't done this for a while. So we walked about 3 minutes, I think, away from here, and you went to a different. You could have gone to physically, you could have walked over to the Emic Refining Learning Center,
yes.
But I don't know if they're having evening prayers. But
9 o'clock is their evening prayer.
Okay, so you had evening prayers, and they were. What time is this that we were supposed to be over there?
I noticed on my smartphone application that sunset is about 10 minutes to 5. Mm-hmm. So I knew that about 20 minutes before that, at 4:30, they would be praying the afternoon prayer at the synagogue that I was planning to go to. I'd already prayed the afternoon prayer, so I didn't have to go. And about 20 minutes after that sunset, i.e. around 5:10, we would have the evening prayer. So that's what I was aiming for.
This is an interesting... Sorry for interrupting. No. So this is an interesting point about the afternoon prayer. So this is what a lot of men do, is they combine the afternoon prayer and the evening prayer and do the afternoon prayer as late as possible, yes. And then they do the evening prayer as early as possible.
Exactly.
And then with sunset right in the middle.
Yes.
And how much gap is there that you wait between the end of the afternoon prayer and the beginning?
Since there is some reason to wait after, it's too complex to go into it, you wait about 20 minutes after sunset to start evening prayer. Okay. Some places don't wait for various reasons. They say if we'll wait, we won't have a minyan, we don't have a quorum of 10 people to stick around to do the afternoon prayer, so we just do it all straight one at a time. And then afterwards you have to repeat the Kriyat Shema. Okay. The Shema prayer afterwards, because you have to do that at those 20 minutes afterwards. So it's when I asked you if it'd be okay to join this evening prayer, you said, yeah, it would, and then you said, oh, and I think it might be a little bit interesting for you because of the synagogue that I'm going to. Explain that. We went to a Sephardi synagogue. As opposed to? Ashkenazi. Okay. So throughout the thousands of years of exile of the Jewish people, they went to the east, to Africa, to East Asia, to southeastern Europe, and to the west, to Europe, and ultimately to the United States, to North America, and mostly the eastern communities had one or a bunch of traditions regarding how to do prayers, and the Western ones, the Ashkenazim, had a different one. It's still more or less the same. Still basically using the same prayer book, but just with some variations, right? Basically using the same staples of the prayers, but the prayer books are different. They print each different one. But I'm already an expert at praying, so I feel comfortable in both of them. But when you use the term siddur as the word for the prayer book, that word is used regardless of whether it's Sephardim or... Siddur it means to arrange. Okay. So you arrange your prayers using this book. Okay, all right. So as we were getting close to this place, it's not too far from where we are, you asked me, hey, have you ever... We all of a sudden we're walking down the sidewalk, and then he points to the left, and we see this building that looks like this white dome. I should go take a picture of it and to add it for when we publish this.
And you said, have you ever noticed this before? And I had to ashamedly say, no. Actually, I don't think I'd walked on that side of the sidewalk on that particular road. And so then we turn right in and go in. And I see, we're walking in, I see, there's some windows you can and I can see that there's somebody speaking at the front and a few people are there. But the prayers haven't started. Right?
The evening prayer had not started. The afternoon prayer was already finished.
So why is some guy standing in the front speaking at this point?
You're in between afternoon prayer and an evening prayer. What should you do? Go out and smoke a cigarette? You should play a quick game of cards. You take this opportunity to learn a little bit of Torah. And that's what the man was doing.
And
for everybody involved.
And in this particular synagogue, this Sephardi synagogue, had you been to this synagogue and prayed in the synagogue before?
That's usually the one that I like to go to for evening prayers when I'm with you.
When you're with me in this part
and
of
Jerusalem. And if I miss the afternoon prayer by the Emek Learning Center, then I go there for afternoon evenings. I don't think I'll come back for 10 minutes. I'll probably stay there and listen to the rabbi giving his mini lesson.
Okay, and so does it have to be a rabbi that's standing up there speaking? No, it's just
anybody who does not have stage fright can do it.
Okay. Now, one thing I asked you. So normally, pretty much most people in this synagogue had a kippah, either looked like yours or maybe it was more just black. But we didn't see anybody that was in the. No, this was the church, it's pews, but in the rows, I don't know how you say it, the rows of the synagogue, because they're there's like a place where you put your books and stuff. It's there wasn't anybody there that had a black coat, black hat, sort of the ultra-Orthodox. But I remarked at the fact that the guy that was standing speaking to the room actually had a black hat, black coat. And I asked you if you had ever seen this guy before.
I think I did. Again, I haven't been here in a while. You don't visit long enough.
But so is this the rabbi for the synagogue?
He might be the rabbi for the synagogue. There might be another rabbi for the synagogue because he looked young. So he might have been a young man who grew up in this neighborhood, is visiting his family from the yeshiva where he's studying. This is all conjecture. I don't know.
Okay, but then so perhaps he was just given the opportunity. Hey, would you cover the in between and give a Torah lesson? And
I think that might have happened a long time ago, and now he's pretty standard. I think I've heard him speaking before. I remember.
Okay.
I remember him speaking.
And what was he? I couldn't understand. It was in Hebrew. What was he speaking about? Just generally talking.
He was talking about what happens if two people want to eat. One wants to eat a milk-based meal, and another wants to eat a meat-based meal. So you're not allowed to eat
at the same time.
Meat and milk at the same time. So are you allowed to sit at the same table? I'll eat my milky meal, and you'll eat your meaty meal. So he said, if you have some sort of a differentiation, put a few books there or something like that will remind you not to eat the other person. If the two people don't know each other, it's okay. If the two people know each other, they have to make that separation.
Interesting.
Because if I know you,
because
then you'll offer me, hey, you want to taste this? And I'll try it. So that was one of the things they were talking about.
Now, I was interested. The guy had a lot of passion for this topic. I mean, the way he was, he was like, of course he's young, and, sometimes you can be really,
passionate.
Not that we're older, I still think you're a passionate person, but anyway. But I just noticed he was kind of like, he would like hit the book. Now is this like it's just kind of a style thing? Like he would make a point and he would pop the book like an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
Is that I've never asked this to you before. Is that something you would see commonly? Is that like
I think it's so common.
Like Christians raise their hands or something.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's so common that I didn't even notice it.
Okay. Well, that answers the question. All right, so we do the prayers. Couple of things. I've been in these prayers before. It's about, how long was this evening prayer time?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, so about the same amount of time as the afternoon prayer. There was, we start out with speaking. Then there is a period of silence. in the middle of the prayer.
Yes.
I understand from your Pray Like a Jew lessons, I know what that silence is, but tell the viewers what is happening in that, well, almost silence, because I could hear whispering.
Yes. The way that the evening prayer is built is you start with the Shema, which is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and a few other paragraphs from the Bible with a couple of blessings preceding it and a couple of blessings afterwards. Mm-hmm. And that's about 5 minutes. And then there's the pinnacle of the prayer, which is the silent Amidah, the silent standing prayer, which is about 18 blessings, blessing God, requesting from God, and thanking God. And that is the Amidah, the Shmona Esrei, the 18 blessings.
The pinnacle of the prayer, the most important,
yes.
The central core
yes.
of the prayer. Okay. In the synagogue, I'd been in synagogues before, but this one had 12 squares at the front, a row of six of different colors. What was that for?
That was on the parochet, the veil, or the let's call it a veil, a beautifully embroidered or otherwise decorated covering of the Holy Ark, where the Torah scrolls are kept. Mm-hmm. And in this case, our synagogue used this space of decoration to remind us of the 12 stones of the high priest's breastplate. And that's what it was.
Okay. So we finished there, and my last question for the synagogue, actually, so let's go ahead and take a break, and I'll ask you my last question. There's something that I saw everybody else do, and you didn't, and I want to know why.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get to that one. When you do this kind of stuff, I don't know what kind of cliffhangers you could have come up with that you're sitting to me, but hey, I'm going for it. So there's our cliffhanger. And we'll see what happens. I've never asked him this question before, and I'm dying to know the answer because it's so fundamental. Okay, all right.
I'll bet you're dying to hear that answer.
All right, so we'll come back to that when we can. So until then, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.